everyone, and welcome to the Red Brick House. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Susan and I love to do all different kinds of crafts. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. It just means the world to me. And so with that said, today's project is very exciting because I have been thinking about the upcoming fall season. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And I really want to make a couple of different things. Most of the things that I want to make are to utilize in my home because I love to make useful things. I love the process of stitching and doing slow projects, but I also love to have a useful product in the end when I'm finished. And so what I'm going to do today is I want to start a fall Kawandi inspired blanket. Now, I made a Kawandi inspired throw a couple of months ago, and now if you've watched my recent haul video, I have quite a few fabrics that I got on sale at Hobby Lobby, and I think I want to put all those together along with some plain fabrics, and I have some denim to add in there, and I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to be really cute. And so hopefully if I start this project now, I'll be finished maybe October-ish. Hopefully I can use it this year. And so what I want to do is, last time I made a rectangle. This time I want to make a square Kawandi style blanket or quilt, however you want to call it. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I haven't done anything aside from just gathering the fabrics. So first I'm going to start prepping everything and cutting out my fabric. I don't know how far I'll get in this video, but I hope you enjoy it and stick around to see how this project comes together. So let's get started. Okay, so I have trimmed down my fabrics because when I bought these, I didn't know what I was going to make. So I bought about 2 to 3 yards of each one. If I really liked it, I bought like 3 yards. And then I also have some denim here, just some remnants of some jeans that my daughter had outgrown and some other pants that I had. And so I've trimmed those down to a more manageable size to cut into pieces. Now I'm going to cut these in pretty large pieces because I don't want this project to take too long. And I feel like the bigger the fabric is, the quicker it will go. Also, most of these fabrics I got are quite big print, as you can see here. I don't want to cut a little small section on all you see is just like, you know, a tire or something. You know, I want the whole truck in there. So I'm going to be cutting pretty big pieces out of this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll just start with the one on top. Move these to the side. I have my rotary cutter here that I'm going to use. And then I have my ruler I'm going to use. Ooh, I wonder if I should cut it at the same time. Let's see. Should I cut it double thickness? And that way might make it faster. But I might not get the same print, which is okay. I don't mind if the print is cut off a little bit. I just don't want them to be so small that you can't see, you know, the pretty fabric. Okay, well first I'm going to cut off this selvage edge here. I'm probably not even going to use my ruler. I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. We'll get rid of that. Then oh, that one is a bit, I'm so silly. This one has a little edge too. It doesn't have the white, you know, all the I guess manufacturer's info on there, but this is also a selvage here. It's a little frayed, so I'm gonna just trim that up as well. Just gonna go right along the edge. It's probably gonna be crooked, but I will fix that in a minute. Oh my goodness. I think it's time for my rotary cutter to get a new blade. It's getting a little bit dull. I probably should have changed that before I started this project, but we're gonna go with it. Hopefully it will be okay. I noticed the last time I used it, it was getting a little dull. Okay, so I'll move my fabric up here so you guys can see it. And I think what I'm going to do with this fabric, they're all going to be different sizes, but I think I'm going to start just like right here and cut just straight up. That way I can get, this is like a repeating picture here and here. There's different trucks, but that's fine. And then here the image is flipped the opposite direction. That's kind of interesting. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut big sections out of this and try to get most of the picture in my square that I'm going to be using. Everybody, I got all my fabric cut out, and then I've got my backing here cut out and placed. I'm using this orange, kind of a plaid, and then this is going to be my lining. I've been using, if you watch some of my videos, I've been using this sheet set as my lining in here because it's just what I already had on hand. And I didn't want to buy anything extra right now to, you know, to go inside this. And so I really like using what I have so that I get rid of it and I use it up. I don't feel like I'm being wasteful and I don't have to buy something new. So that's just what I do. You could line it however you want to line it. And what I'm going to do now, the last time I made a Kawandi inspired throw, and I've seen other people do this too, and that's how I got the idea of doing it. But I've seen people, and I did it also, where I added the fabric, the first go around, the border here. When you're adding your fabric, you do it without the lining already attached. And then after you get your first row of fabric all the way around, then you put in your lining, and you start sewing it that way. But I'm going to do this a little bit differently, just to offer a different idea. This is how I did my table runner, and to me it just was easier. So that's what I'm going to do for me. You can do your crafts however you like, but I am going to keep all this together and I'm just going to start adding my my fabric straight away. And so I won't have to go in and put the lining in after I already have my fabric, my border fabric attached. And so that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to start adding fabric and going around in a square-like form to sew the fabric down. And now this will, of course, this will only be a Kawandi in the sense of the way I'm adding my fabrics, and even at that, it's kind of a loose, you know, interpretation of a Kawandi style quilt, because I could never make a traditional Kawandi because I don't have the right fabrics. I can't find the right fabrics, you know, and I don't share that ancestry. So I could not make it in a traditional way where, you know, those crafts are passed down from generation to generation. And so I'm just doing my best to make something presentable that looks nice for the fall season. And so with that said, now I'm going to get started on adding my fabrics. I have showed that in a couple of different videos now, but I'll show it one more time. And I'll just add a few fabrics. I'll show you how I'm going to start the corner, and then it will just be the process of me putting it together. Okay, so first things first, I cut out these little denim squares. They're not a specific inch. Let's see. They're a little bit bigger than a 4-inch, but they're all the same size. And I'm going to use this denim because I thought if it frays, it won't be a problem. I kind of like the frayed look, and especially with this little quilt. And so I'm going to make the fula, I think that's what it's called, or sometimes I call them tassels. This little cute, I love how this looks. So I'm going to make these cute little tassels, or fula, hope I'm saying it right. And I'm going to fold them over like that. So you just take it and you fold it in half, and then you fold it in half again. Try to keep your edges as together as possible. And then you have a little square like this. And so I'm going to take this little square, I'm going to take this part in the middle, that way it can kind of flap open. And I'm going to put that right in my corner, and I'm going to start off with that. But first I need to prepare this edge in order for me to do that. So I'm going to unpin it. I'm using a lot of pins this time because last time I did not, and I had a lot of trouble. So I learned my lesson. So I'm going to fold this up. I'm just going to finger press it down. You could do this with an iron if you want to. I'm going to do a pretty nice seam allowance here. And then I'm going to pin that so that it stays in place. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I need another pin. I might have to go get some more pins. I thought I had enough, and the pins I'm using are these like quilting curved pins. I love these for this project. And I'm going to fold them over. I also see a lot of people using like the little tiny like binder clips, and I've never tried using those. So let me know if you use those, if you like them. I've never tried them before, so I don't know. I don't know if I would like them or not. I probably would. But I wonder how well they work. Do they come undone? So if you've used those and you have some experience with them, let me know, because I would like to know if you like them or not. Okay, so now I have my corner prepared. I'm going to have to refold this because it kind of came undone, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to have it just like that. Now I'm going to try to attach this. I'm using this crochet thread. This is the same thread that I used last time, and I've used in my table runner. I really like this thread for this process because I know some people use embroidery thread or floss, and that's, you know, that's totally fine. That's what you want to do. For me, it gets quite pricey because you have to use, you know, almost all the strands to get a thick enough thread. And to me, that's you know, that gets kind of expensive. So I like to do things, you know, in the most inexpensive, not the most inexpensive, but you know what I mean. I like to save money when I can, because when I save money on things like that, then that just means that I can purchase other things to make. So I don't know, that's how I look at it. Okay, so before adding this little tassel here, I'm going to add my first fabric, because this is going to go under here like that. So I'm not going to start at the very edge here. I'm going to zoom in. Let's see if you can see. Okay, so I'm going to put this down first because, like I said, this will go under here like that. So I'm not going to start my stitching in the absolute center. I'm going to start it about right, maybe a 1/4 of an inch right here to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go in between the fabrics. And I'm going to do my stitches until I get this first piece of fabric stitched down. And then I'll go in and put my little foula in there. I want to say foulie. That's probably wrong. I really hope I'm not saying it wrong, but if I am, feel free to correct me because I don't want to say things wrong. I had read on the internet when I was looking up the kantha, what we call kantha here, I guess, in the Western world, that kind of style of making things, making a quilt, and I read that it was actually pronounced kanta, that we have kind of just been mispronouncing it all this time in more of the Western world, I guess. That's what the internet told me anyway. So, I mean, I apologize. I mean no offense if I'm doing something or saying something wrong. So, okay, I'm going to stop right here. So I have stitched all the way up to here. I like to leave myself about 1 inch on the end when I'm adding fabrics, because last time I had so much trouble. I would go over here to the edge about like right here, thinking that that's enough, and this is not enough, because trust me, it will come up on you, and then it becomes a problem. And so I learned my lesson. You learn as you go, and you get better as you go. Okay. So I may wait. You know what I'm going to do? Instead of adding this in right now, this little piece, instead of adding it in right now, I may wait until I come back around to this corner, because I would have to, either I have to get another needle and thread, or I'm going to have to tie off my needle. So I think I'm going to wait, and I'll put this in, I'll put this little guy in a little bit later. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another piece of fabric first, or right now, before I do that. And I just love this process of quilt making so much, because I was never good at, you know, making American patchwork quilts. I think they're beautiful. I think the patterns that you can create, I used to love all those like star patterns that you made. It was just so beautiful, but I'm not good at doing that kind of thing. I never have been. And I'm really a person, a very type A personality. I really try to do things, you know, correctly. I try to be precise, and I can never sew precisely enough or cut my fabrics precisely enough to make those type of quilts. I'm just not good at it. And I have accepted that over time, because I've tried several times to do it and it just never turned out right and I wasn't happy with it. But this process of quilting as you go and putting these fabrics as you go and not having, you know, your fabrics can be any size. Like these two fabrics I just putting together. This one's very large I'm working on here, and this one's pretty small. And it doesn't matter, you know, you can put anything in there. Which also I think gives you less waste, because you can use up little pieces of fabric that maybe you would have, you know, had to cut into a patchwork quilt. And here you don't have to cut them up. You can just use it. Instead of ending up with a bunch of little scraps, you can just put it all together. Because see, this piece is going to be quite big. And I like to alternate the sizes that I put in here. So I think that makes it more interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to add this fabric. I pressed it down on this side right here, and then I pressed it over here, and I'm going to lay that right up next to my stitching so that in my next stitch I can get that fabric tacked down. So I'm going to have it just like that. I hope you can see that. My fabric keeps moving here. Okay, maybe that's better. I hope you can see that. So now I'm just going to stitch right into that. And I'm going to have to come up this way because apparently when I left off at the bottom. So I'm going to have to come up into it like that. But that's okay. It won't matter. At least I don't think it will. Okay. So now I'm just going to keep going across this piece of fabric. And that's really all there is to it. This first go around is kind of tricky because you're just getting started and you have this seam allowance here, which is pretty thick to sew through. But once you get past that, it goes pretty fast. This process does. That's another thing I like about it. Whoops. I know I'm still probably using more thread than what people would, I don't know, say is the right way to do it, but I'm using a lot less thread than what I used to. In that very first Kawandi video, I got a lot of comments of people saying I was using way too long of a thread, and I agree. I wasn't good at hiding my knots. I wasn't really sure how to do that, but because I'm kind of a beginner here, but I've learned so much, you know, just from making one project. I have learned so much. So if you think that like this kind of project is intimidating or to you, or you know, you think that you don't know how to do it, just try it. Just give it a try. You never know what you can do if you just try and are willing to learn, you know. There's nothing you can't do if you're just willing to try and to get better, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna add, I think I'll add one more piece of fabric here, and then I will come back when I have some progress that I can show you. I'm really excited about this. I love the fall season and I love these patterns, and I hope nobody's offended that I'm using these type of very, I don't know, Americanized patterns or what have you. I don't know. But you know, this is something I'm making for my home, and I love this process so much that I just wanted to make this a little lap throw for myself and for my cats, because they will probably end up laying on it. Okay, I think I'm going to zoom back out because I don't know if you can see. Okay. So now I'm going to add my next little fabric. I have a little scarecrow here I'm going to put on here. Oh man, I'm gonna fold his head under, look. Oh no, I'm gonna have like kind of a headless scarecrow. If I fold that under, oh, I did not think about that when I was cutting that out. That I would need to fold it under. Oh, okay, well, it is what it is. I'll think about that next time I'm cutting out fabrics. Let me keep that in mind. Okay. Constantly learning all the time. And realizing you should have done something one way when you didn't. But it's okay. I think it'll still be cute. I think there is some tree trimming going on back behind my house in the neighborhood behind us. After that storm, you know, the energy company here, they picked up branches, they cleared tree branches of anything around power lines, and now after that whole process is over, they're coming back through and they're doing some more trim work on, I guess, maybe potential problems for the future. We got a notification that they were going to be trimming, not really behind our house, but just in our neighborhood, down our street, because our tree was our big problem and it's gone now, so it's all been carried away. The men that came and cut it down, they came back about 2 weeks later and they picked up all the stuff and they took down the rest of the tree. So I was really so incredibly thankful for that, because if you've ever had to have a big tree cut down, it is expensive. And I'm so thankful that they did that for us. So our yard is looking better. We still have, from that storm, we had a window that was damaged, and we had our fence, well, several pieces of our fence got damaged. The one part that fell over that I filmed, we fixed that ourselves. You can see that in my videos. But the other corner of our fence where that tree was, it got really damaged when they cut it down. So yeah, now we have to fix that too. So we have some insurance work that's being done on the roof, because our roof has to be replaced. And so it's going to be a long process, I feel like, because it just feels like, you know, everybody needs a new roof. So we're just in line, you know, behind everybody else that needs a new roof. So we're just waiting for that work to get done. But our yard is looking better. My plants have recovered, and because we lost the tree, we put a pool up in that corner of our yard, and that has been so nice this summer. It has really been the best summer ever. Like, it's just been so nice, and I've really enjoyed this summer. But I'm looking forward to the fall as well. Okay, so enough chatting about that. I'm going to just keep adding fabric, and I'll come back, like I said, when I have a little bit more progress and show you what it looks like. Okay, so now I have come to my corner, and I'm going to add this little tassel in on this corner. So I'm going to take that little point there, and I'm going to put it in between these two fabrics, just like that. And then I'm just going to stitch that down 2 or 3 times here in the middle, and that's all there is to it. I want to kind of go to the middle of this fabric. So find your corner here, and then I just go straight up from that corner and into the middle. You can see it on the back as well, where my needle's coming out here. And I'm going to pull that pretty tight. And then I'm just going to do that a couple more times. I try to make it look nice. I don't have a lot of thread left here. Okay. So there we go. That did not go all the way through. So I'm going to come back through there. I think I got it, oh man. I think I got it a little too close to the edge, but you get the idea. I try to make it look nice, and I try to go into that tassel about 3 times, just to make sure it's secure. And then you'll just keep adding your fabric. Okay, as I've been sewing around here, some things came to my mind that I kind of wanted to mention. This might be helpful to you if you are new to this process, or if you have never made one before. Something that I have become mindful of. Now, I have just learned this as I went. You know, this is only my second one making this. I'm not an expert. It's just, this is what I've kind of done to troubleshoot some problems when you're working your corners here. And let me show you. So, when I placed this fabric, I might have done the same thing with this one too, I'm not sure. But when I place this fabric, anytime I place a fabric in the corner, so here's my corner. When I'm placing fabric right here in this corner area, I just go ahead and I make a nice edge. I make sure that the piece that I'm adding to it is big enough that I can do a seam, you know, go ahead and fold it over right here. And you can see I've pinned it there to keep it in place. And I have started doing that because in my first, the first little quilt I made in this style, I had some problems with my corners. I also did it here as well. So I just went ahead and folded those over so that they would have a nice edge, and so that I wouldn't have to add fabric on top to cover up the raw edge. Because if I had left this open here, then I would have a frayed fabric sticking out. See what I mean? Or this right here. And so I've just been doing that, and it's helped me a lot when it comes to working your corners. And then another thing I wanted to mention is planning a little bit. Planning this a little bit helps a lot. So as far as the stitching goes, this right here was my last line of stitching. And when I was coming across here, I really had to think about where I could put that line of stitching, because I want to make sure that this fabric here gets sewed down and it's not, my next stitch line's not way up here and I don't catch all of this this seam allowance here into that row of stitching, because you need to do that or you won't really be happy with it. So what I did is I kind of, even if like it has to be a little bit more narrow through here, that's okay with me in order to get that next line of stitching. And so I realized that I could put a line of stitch work here and then still have enough room that I can put a line of stitch here. Now it won't be right on the edge, but it will be about like right here. And so it'll go right across here. And this fabric's pretty thin. I can see my line right there. I'll bring it in a little closer. I'm not sure if it's showing up on camera, but I can see my line right across here where it's folded over. And so I have to make sure that that line gets in between there, you know, so I catch that. that hem there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop right here, and then I'm going to go across, and I'll just do that on camera while I'm here. I might as well. That way you can see, and that has helped me a lot just to plan that out just a little bit. So I'm going to want to I'm going to do one more stitch here. So I'm going to go in there, whoops, and then I'm going to come out. It's a little small stitch, so that's hard. Now see, I've already tacked it down just doing that stitch right there. And now I'm going to turn it so I can go this way. And now see, I'm lined up to go straight across here. And that will tack down all this fabric right here. I can even kind of tuck that under a little bit. And then, so we'll just go ahead and sew across there. It's a little thick, so I'm just going to do one stitch at a time. Another thing I'm doing to try to keep my stitches straight is I kind of lay my needle there, and then that kind of tells me where my next hole needs to be, and it keeps my line a little bit straighter. And if I go in right here, I'm going to be catching this green fabric as well. So I'm going to might make a little bit of a bigger stitch, but I want to go right in there. Whoops. Oh no, I pulled it out. Hold on, let me start over. I pulled it back too much. Okay, so I want to go right there. And then right there. And that's how I'm turning my corners. So there. So we have this line of stitching that comes down here, and then it goes across here, and it's just going to keep going across here. Trying to stay as straight as possible. You can see here, it's a little crooked. I'm trying my best. I think it already looks better than my first one. It's amazing, the things you learn as you go along. Okay. Another thing I wanted to share with you is where I've been hiding my knots. So I'm going to sew down this green fabric right here. There we go, so you can see. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tie this off. I mean, I have a little bit of thread, but I'm gonna show you how I've been tying off my knots in case you're curious. Now, like I said, I am not an expert hand sewer. I am new to this craft, and the videos I watched where people were making these, I didn't really notice. I mean, I didn't watch that many people. I think I only watched like maybe 2 different people do it. But I didn't see people showing how or where they were tying off their knots. And I think that's important because it's easy in the beginning. But then when you get a lot of, you know, patchwork going here and you have it pinned down, it's hard to kind of it's hard to hide it behind here. So what I've been doing, like I said, it might not be the proper way, but this is just what I've been doing. Now I'm gonna make that stitch. I'm gonna back that up a little bit, and I'm gonna make that stitch a little bit smaller because here's what I'm gonna do. Let me take out this pin first so maybe you can see better. Okay. So, I mean, I have some more thread. I could probably keep going a little ways, but I'm gonna go ahead and tie this off so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna go in here, and then I'm going to come out under this flap. So I'm not going to catch this flap because I want to tie it off, and I'm going to hide my knot under there. So I'm just going to kind of lift it up a little bit and put my knot under there. So that's what I've been doing. And then I've been tying it off. I'll just get a little piece of fabric, making sure not to go into my back fabric because I don't want it to show. And then this is how I do it. I just wrap it around a few times and then bring my needle up. Makes a nice little knot. And then I usually will go back through it at least once. Like I said, you don't want to pick up your backing. Just kind of want to go through those stitches. Let's see. Yep, it looks good. Okay. Oh, let me get over here so you can see. Okay, and then I just cut it off. And that's the end of that. Well. Okay. Then I'll lay it down flat. And see, you don't see the knot at all. And then when I start back up again, I'll start right where this knot is. And I'll start my stitch work straight along here, and you won't even notice it at all. It'll just look like a continuous stitch line. So that's what I've been doing. I hope these tips help you out. I'm probably going to end this video here. And I'm going to come back and make a video when I'm completed this project and a couple of other things that I have coming in the future. I'm going to put them all together in a finished fall video where you can see all of them and how I'm going to kind of decorate my living room with them. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you some ideas and tips and tricks and maybe some useful information that might help you with your Kawandi. Please give me any suggestions if you have an idea that might help me with my Kawandi. And we can all learn this new craft together. I love that about this platform. And so if you've liked this video, I like to make crafting content. I don't always do sewing. I do some crochet and knit and some other projects as well. But if you like this kind of content, then please, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I'm going to have a finishing roundup of my fall projects in probably 2 different videos. One for my table and one for my living room where I'm going to have my throws that I'm making. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.